If you live in a city and you work near enough every day, perhaps you're doing a 9 to 5 or 12-hour shifts, and most of the time you're trying to make ends meet. You're cooked. You are cooked. But that's okay, because by me telling you that you are cooked, you have a choice, and I can help you get your power back. Let me explain. Peep game. I was in your position around two years ago. I was working near enough nearly every day. I lived a life where I could not get any rest. Nope. No rest. Getting home from work would all equate to 2 hours. And even just being in bed would be it would be very restless. You're not able to get a full time of sleep. And there was no balance. No balance. You can even say that you have signed yourself up to be a statistic in the matrix, just a pawn in this game of life. If this all resonates, I'm letting you know that if I can do it, escape. And I know this term, the matrix, is often overly used, but it is literally a matrix. The slave mind. Because you feel like you are held to be in a pawn, not being able to go on holiday. Perhaps you're lucky. You're lucky to just do the one holiday a year or the two holiday a year. But even that, it's not even a holiday. It's like 3 days. What's that? Or 4 days. I'm letting you know that the moment you make a choice of releasing and escaping from this contract, this karmic contract, you are able to have the abundance that you've always envisioned. But it all starts from here. It all starts from the mind, you see. And when you change that, everything becomes, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about my experiences. And I've helped people who have had similar experiences to me escape. Bearing in mind, if you do and you choose, I'll also tell you the consequences regarding them, regarding leaving, because it's not just the fact of just you leaving, it's what the consequences that comes with leaving. This is not just the job. The job itself is symbolic, but everything else behind it, and there's a part of it, is ultimately something that you, yourself, will have to brace yourself. You change, and then you'll start to see the butterfly effect. All right? Now, before you get on to me, for all of you remote workers out there, it doesn't really apply to you, but you can still use and attain the knowledge that I'm giving you guys, all right? But for those who are working every day, 9 to 5, 12-hour shifts, having to meet ends meet all the time, all the bloody time, I'm gonna say something. The work itself is symbolic. It is just symbolic, and that's just the truth and the reality is. What you guys need to do is really bring the power back to you. And that's relinquishing that. And that might be a scary, scary thought. That might be something that you may not be ready for as of yet. But as long as you know that you are in this position, you can ultimately make a choice and say, okay, cool. I'm gonna make that decision. I'm gonna make these choices. And these choices is going to give you the life that you want. But there is a caveat towards that. And what the caveat is, or are, in fact, pretty much a chain of events that's going to affect you. That could be the start of you having a sort of awakeness, because you are waking up to the idea that you are no longer guided by old rules that you've been programmed to year after year after year, even a lifetime. Now, this might sound really, really scary, but ultimately, this is here to wake you the fuck up. And that's the truth. The next events that's going to change is the idea that by you raising yourself away from the means of low vibrational energy, and that could be just the factors that your workload or your work environment, everything around that is draining you, holding you down, bringing you down. I'm letting you know that the moment you release that, there's going to be a vibrational release. There's going to be a vibration that you're going to go from here to here, and understand what may happen are the people around you. They may question you. They may even question your motivation. They may even question who you are, that you've changed. Are you going through a crisis? Are you going through a chain of events that they might perceive in their eyes, not through your eyes, that you're going through a crisis? Well, that's the actual opposite that you're going through. You are breaking away from the idea of old programming, and that you are releasing yourself from that. Let's start with self. Let's start with the notion that you've come to this realization, and all of a sudden this epiphany, this awakening is going to give you adverse effects. You may even question why you're even here, right? And that's good. That's absolutely good, because what you're doing is you are rewiring, recalibrating yourself. Because all of these years you thought getting the everyday hustle grind was something that needed to be done. Now, I always tell people, and especially with like my clients, and I've said this again and again and again, I was in the same position you. I'm being real. That's why it's easy for me to say all of these things, because at the end of the day, I understand the notion that, of course, the idea itself, I've got to work hard. I've got to continuously grind year after year after year to get a house, a house that every year that the prices will go up, and then you'll get somebody like your mom or your dad or your grandparents or whoever, your elders. They will say, oh, back in my day, this, that, we had a house already. Now, back in my parents' days, houses were about 40 grand. Do you know what I mean? And then, especially in the area that I'm at right now, it's 20-fold. You see what I'm trying to say? So back then, I was in that slave mentality to think that that was the best thing to do. Times have changed. We can't just work in the process of like hard work. We've got to effectively not just smart work. We have to work in multi-dimensional thinking. This is part of the quantum leap that you may want. And essentially, this is breaking away from conventional thought, conventional ways of working, because if you are using the old template for this generation, guess what? You're going to be stuck in this perpetual cycle. You may even have debts. You may be going through shit. You may be married. Maybe your spouse is unhappy because you're not making as much money, or maybe you're still living in a place that you've envisioned in the future that this is something that you're still wanting to break free from and you can't. And that's because you're still stuck in that mindset. Here's the thing, and here's something that people don't normally tell you. Escaping is something that you yourself can only do. And you may be hearing it from other influencers, social media, all of these things, but they are showing you the breadcrumbs. They're giving you and they're letting you know that the lifestyle that you've seen, and that might be part of what you are aligned to, these are things that you're able to do, but you're not able to do that now if you're constantly working that barista job every day, or if you're working that 12-hour shift in security. It doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, guess what? Everyone will be making more money. It's not about hard work. I hate to say it, because if that's the case, that means nurses should be billionaires by definition. It's also letting you know that the idea of richness and the idea of just money itself, financial relations, has to change, because the true meaning of it, and this is through my experience, is financial abundance. It's about freedom as we speak, being able to have a bit of both, because that's true richness right there. You have somebody like Elon Musk. All right, he's the richest guy in the world, but if you listen to what he says, he works 16 hours a day. He hasn't got a life. Now, if you can blend, and this is the thing I was going to say to people, you can find something that you have a passion. Because I get paid to be me, guys. I get paid to be me. I get paid to just literally do the things that I love doing. And I'm not saying this to be in a braggadocious way. I'm saying this because if I can do it, of course you can. Because if you win, I win. Do you know what I'm saying? If we are on the same vibrations, I win, you win. There doesn't have to be any sort of winner or losers, because if you're thinking that this is a competition, you have lost already, because you've lost the idea or the notion that you have to compare yourself to other people, because that's the thief of your own joy. All right? Now, the one thing I would say is the adverse effects that I had is the realization that all of these years that I've had to do, and that could be through, oh my God, working hard is going to get me to where I want to be. I absolutely had this feeling of what the fuck I have been doing. And you know what? Here's the thing I will say. I'm not just saying this to just give you lip service. I'm letting you know this because I want to empower you. Because the greatest thief and robbery we can do is not living the life that we want. And I get it. I used to do it. I used to be with, in my industry back in the day, and speak to managers and have to play the game and corporate kiss assing. And I'm like, that's not me. The real empowerment that I felt was realizing that your highest vibration is being your most authentic self. And the moment I've come to those conclusions of wanting to live a life that makes me feel free, makes me feel me, really changes your outlook in life. Life itself can be daunting if you allow it to be. It can be difficult if you allow it to be. It can be some of the most beautiful things if you allow it to be. You've got to allow it. It's got to be in, you've got to choose what's in your frequency. And if you allow certain things, then it will come into that timeline. What I will say, especially for those who are trying to break free, it's just about being You. Very simple, very simple, but it's very, very hard at the same time because everybody has a great idea. But when you're choosing you against your bills, it's a very, very hard predicament. People often talk a good game, but they still feel that they are stuck in that mindset that they have to do it. They have to do it. Now, let me give you a few pointers. No one has to tell you what you can and can't do. You have your free will. The second thing I'm going to tell you is everything starts from within, right? And the rest will follow. So if you decide to make that leap of faith and say, okay, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be starting this. I'm going to be starting that. You have the power to start over again and create something that you love doing. The aspirations that you want in your life. That could have been something that you want to get into in terms of media. That could be your own business. Could be anything that you want it to be. These things are within your grasp, but it's ultimately something that you've got to do. Nobody wants to start over again. Nobody wants to say that, oh, they want to do things for the risk of embarrassment. That's an illusion. That is a part of you that is still holding on to an old version of yourself. I guarantee you, the moment you're able to go through the resistance and really, really just trust yourself, you're able to see the dream that's turning into reality. All right. What I love, I, I do every day is being able to do it without any type of stress, being able to say, yes, this is what I want. And for me, that is one of the best currencies that you can have in the universe, is being able to have the choice, being able to feel like these choices are not taken away from you. And you can do that. What I'm showing you right now is believing in your vision, believing in your vision.